All right, so today I want to talk about worldviews, specifically um, why they're so important. And the fact about worldviews is that everyone has one. Um, the psychologists, the modern psychologists might say something like everyone has fundamental assumptions, axioms about the way the world works and the nature of themselves and the people around them, the world around them. And these assumptions dictate their motivations, their notions of success, their will, what they're trying to do, to start doing, or to stop doing. Um, these assumptions don't necessarily need to be fully conscious. The person doesn't need to even really know consciously that they have these assumptions or they have these underlying beliefs. For the average person going through, the normal school system, whatever, you're offered a worldview of materialism, of the scientific worldview. Materialism basically means that the basis for reality is material and, only to take as fact, take as important things that are we can measure with machines or we can, interact with our five senses directly. And, you know, inner experience that we can't prove to others doesn't have worth because, it's illusion or it's fake or whatever. The truth about this worldview is that it doesn't provide enough of a platform for us to live on. From my understanding of materialism, and I'd love to argue about this. I'd love people to say why I'm wrong about this because I really do believe it, is that materialism doesn't offer a reason to live aside from simply the animal desire to live. I am an animal, I want to live. I evolved to have this desire to live, that's it. There's no reason for life. When I die, there's nothing. There's literally, there's no inducement to do anything productive with your life. It's pretty much, get as much pleasure or get whatever, and then just die. I mean, I really don't see anything in materialism that gives people a reason to get out of bed in the morning, aside from just simply animal desire, aside from just, I don't want to die because it's scary, right? This is not enough for the unconscious. People, as an example, here in the West, it's interesting to me because I grew up without any knowledge of any religion or, anything like that. And when I started to study Christianity just out of interest, I started to realize how much of these concepts are rooted in the Western mind. Like the scientists, the people who disdain Christianity are truly influenced by it. Their worldviews are influenced by it subconsciously. If you look at someone from the East and someone from the West, you can see the differences in the way they think, the way they view ethics, the way they view things, that are rooted in their religious backgrounds. Even if those two people, that Western and Eastern person, might be, atheists, you'll still see these differences that are really rooted in religion, because I think the human being needs to understand the world through this lens of chaos and order, of good and evil. This is how we understand the world. There's no getting away from it. I can intellectually say, I don't believe in life after death. I don't believe in good or evil, or I don't believe there's ethics in this world or there's morals. But like, in order to live, in order to function, we need that platform to live off. Human beings, that's just the way we are. We do we do believe in morals, we do believe in justice, but we're upset because when we don't see it in the world, when we look out in society and we don't see this justice that we feel like should be there, it makes us angry and it makes us disillusioned. And I mean, all of these, I've seen many of these atheist scientist types, and they'll talk about how they're above religion and, this is the rational age, but then you'll find that they get childish. They'll talk about God and they'll say things like, "Oh, God never expected us to find the atom," ha, or like, "Oh, we got," it's very egotistic. They're almost lashing out. They're lashing out at this idea of God, of like, because deep down they want to live in a good world, but they've seen the society and they've seen this evil, and they say, no, there's no way. This is the product of a benevolent creator, right? So, all of this is to say that this is the way human beings see the world. There's no getting away from these ideas, these notions of afterlife, of spiritual worlds. We need this foundation. And when you deny it all you're left with is a subconscious foundation that you have no knowledge of. It's not inspected, it's not cross-examined. You're living on a structure, you're living from a foundation that you don't know if there's cracks in it. You don't know if it's about to fail, if it's failing, if it's if it's sturdy or whatever it is, right? The metaphor is like, we have this foundation whether we like it or not. Materialism doesn't provide it, okay? If you deny all of these religious ideas, these philosophical ideas, you're not rising above them. All you're doing is pushing those down, and you're not looking at them. We need to ourselves learn about these ideas and understand them and apply them to ourselves, so we can actually create a foundation for us to wake up in the morning and be excited about living in the world. Now, most people today, there's this view of that reality is subjective, right? That we the world out there and us, we're not getting a pure view of the world, we're just getting our subjective view. And this is fair enough. Because our worlds are subjective, we have a degree of control of what they look like. A lot of people today think that happiness is a myth, right? They also think that, they view money or capitalism as this thing, this evil thing of like, oh, everyone's money is this, and I need to do all this to make money, and, capitalism is this root of evil. I'm not saying it's not. What I'm saying is that this is because of our own subjective reality. If I will do anything for money, that means money is the most important. If I rise above money and I say, no, I'm doing things that are good, that I know are good, I know in my heart are what I should do, that's the most important thing. God is the most important thing. Then the value of money dwindles, because you can't pay me enough to go against my my principles, right? When you believe in an afterlife, when you believe in God, you escape these levels of control that money has on us. I'm never going to follow my passions if I believe that the most important thing is to make money, because I'm going to go work a part-time job and try to write or whatever, instead of, going to school and finding some safe job, or go these days you just go on the internet and fucking scam people. I mean, just be an internet pirate, an internet bandit. That's probably the best way to make money. Like, why not do that? Well, because it's fucking soul crushing, and because it's not good, and we need to. All back to what I was saying about happiness. In that world where money's the most important, and you know, there's no afterlife, and there's no God. Like, yeah, there's no happiness in that world, but you don't have to. You don't have to live in that world. You can, because reality is subjective. We can create our own worlds to an extent. Rather than create them, we can find them. We can look inside ourselves and return back to that childhood innocence. We once as children did believe in justice. We did think that the world was fair. And then as we grew up and maybe we got double crossed, or maybe this or that happened, or our parents and society and school told us that no, the world isn't fair. And look at all this inequality. And then we grow out of these childish notions of justice and good. The reality is, we can see all these inequality, but this is in our society that we have created. This is not natural. This is like, this person has more money, this person doesn't have as much, therefore the world isn't fair. But I would say, well, who's saying that the guy with more money isn't worse off? And this is sort of like the philosophical point. Like Plato, in the Gorgias, one of my favorite dialogues, talks about how that the tyrant he is actually the worst off. He is the one to be pitied the most. And that, to do evil is worse than to have evil done to you. And these are just arguments based off of rationality. This isn't like a Christianity, where Christianity is more like a moral impulse, like a morality because it's the right thing, where Plato is more arguing why it's best for us to do the right thing. Even though their message is the same, the way they get there is different, and they're both great. So as kids, we all want to live in this good world. We become disillusioned with it. We need to return back to it. How do we return back? Through philosophy, through religion. We understand, we learn about these concepts about God, and we figure out that there is a rationality to our world. We can find it. We can study these systems and find ways to explain the suffering we see out in the world, that we're like, wow, how can I see this, and how can this be happening to me, and there be a good power. If you're more intellectual, you can read Plato, you can study Buddhism, and they have answers, and the answers are good. And there's no scientific proof, there's no experiments done, because this is in a realm beyond the five senses. These things have to do with intuition, have to do with things we don't fully understand. And the truth is, these sort of speculations are the reason we even got science in the first place. I mean, the reason we used to think stuff was random. Once people started believing that, more and more that the world was created, that there were laws in the world, therefore we could start, doing science. In my opinion, I'm not a scientist, but I hear about physicists talking about, the law of entropy and all this stuff about randomness, and it really feels like we're kind of going backwards in a sense, where we got where we are because we said, no, the world isn't random, there are laws. And now we're like, no, actually everything is random because we don't understand it. And I mean, that's why, in my opinion, physics has stagnated so much. I mean, I don't want to get too much into that because I'm pretty ignorant, but that's just my own brief thought on that. But yeah, so once we can start building this foundation of a worldview, a philosophy, religion, whatever, wherever your heart leads you, we can start cross-examining it. We can start looking at, okay, what do I want to believe? What do I believe? What makes me feel good? What makes me more productive? How does my life look compared to that? How do I act out my day? If I'm a Christian, before I go to bed at night and I look back on my day, did I act as a Christian would? Ideally? Probably not. I mean, me not. Like that's very hard. So we can start having this worldview and we can start reflecting on our actions. And as our actions get better, as we get more productive, then our heads become clearer and we can see our worldview even clearer. We can, like, it's a two-way, it's growth on both sides. I get my worldview, I start to live better. Because I start to live better, I'm able to develop better ideas. And it just kind of keeps going. This is all I want to say for today. And thank you for listening. And I really hope this message can help some people. And hopefully people like it. Thank you.